there. Ooh. Actually just been grinding some pepper. I got a lot of grinding to do, but this video is going to be a special treat. We're going to be smoking a brisket on the pellet stove. I got a prime beef, full packard brisket. Let me open this thing up and we're going to start to trim it. Oh my God, I got a lot of grinding to do. But let's take a look at this. So we got a lot of fat to pull off. I want to leave about, first of all, this section is our point. This is our flat. This has got a lot more marbling within the meat. This is a leaner cut side, so we're going to try to clean off as much fat as possible on here, but at the same time I want to only leave about 1/4 of an inch of fat on this side, and we're looking pretty good. But like this fat veiny thing, that's got to come off. That's not going to render. This big knuckle here of fat right there, that's not going to render. And then underneath we're going to have to get rid of all this big fat clump of hard fat. There's just no way that's going to render either. So all in all, this is not a bad cut at all. It's a prime. It's a little over 12 pounds. So let's start to trim this up. It all starts with sharpening your knives. So as you can see, this is a big layer of fat right there. There's no need for it. Start trimming it off. Now, I'm by no means an expert at trimming. There's other YouTube videos online, and actually, to be honest, this is not even the best knife to use for this. I would in the future I'm going to buy a fatter handle and a longer blade, but it's what I got. I'll just take my time and just work at it. This is a very hard piece of fat, so what I did, I thawed out the meat a day in advance. Look at that, a day in advance. Actually, let me move this. And then right about an hour before, I'll utilize that metal tray as my scrap bin. About an hour before I trim, I normally put it back in the freezer. What that's going to do, it's going to harden all your fat. There's nothing more horrible than trying to trim a piece of meat where the fat is already gelatinous. You can't grip it or anything. But this is great. Put it in the freezer about an hour, hour and a half before you decide to trim it. And your fat is hard as a rock. Again, this is not the best knife, but look at that. There's just no way that fat's going to render. And we're going to just keep going at it. Okay, this side is looking pretty decent. Get a little bit more here. Again, this knife is very awkward, so I'm utilizing it the best I can. I'm okay with that. We don't need this on the table. Nobody's going to eat it. It's going to make for a very unpleasant. Get a little bit right there. Boom, done. I'm happy with this little divot. I might come back to this. So all in all, the meat's not bad. It really doesn't have much silver skin. I don't know if you can pick that up right there. It's that line there, a little bit of silver skin on there. I'm not really too worried about these little tiny clumps. They will render, but if you feel comfortable, just take them off. I mean, if you don't like them is what I meant. You just can take them off. I don't see that as a real big problem. Okay, on the other side, this can be a little bit more technically difficult. Again, just take it easy, take it slow. This is a big knuckle of fat right there. I just don't like it. What we're going to do is trim off that whole outer edge. I want to do this very carefully. What I'm doing is cutting and peeling at the same time with my opposite hand. Yeah, I know it looks unsafe what I'm doing, but I want to get that camera. Let me just move that camera here so I can handle the knife a little bit safer. You can see all the fat that's coming off. This is not something you want. Little bit at a time. Do not tackle the entire thickness of the fat all at once. You want it to go down incrementally, because you want a layer of fat to protect the meat from drying, because, see right there, I got a little bald spot, but not the end of the world. But that's what can happen. You got to understand, this is going to be on the smoke for about anywhere from 13 to 16 hours. And that's a lot of drying time. So we want to protect the meat as best as possible, but at the same time get rid of the fat that's just not going to be tasty at all. So let me get this done. I'm not going to make you watch me, but from the magic of the video editing, we'll be done in a second. Okay, so we're done grinding the pepper. Again, the only reason why I grind it is because I just feel that the pepper that I get at other places is far superior to the pepper I get in the grocery stores. As far as salt, I use the coarsest salt I can find. What else? You know, you can use any salt that you have, though, okay? Now for Texas brisket, which I'm trying to do, is just a 50-50 pepper and salt, and that is it. However, many other people use various rubs. They do whatever. There is no wrong way, as long as when you are eating dinner, it tastes good. But for now, I want to just, being this is going to be my first brisket. This is going to be the first brisket I've ever smoked on this grill. I want to just mimic a tried and true method, and that's the Texas way. 50-50. Now this is a big piece of meat, so it might appear as though I'm over salting and peppering it, but trust me, we're going to put this in the fridge, and that salt is going to go into the meat. And don't forget the sides. That salt is going to go into the meat, and it's going to draw and keep in that moisture into the meat. It's going to also season it, soften up the pepper a little bit. So get your edges, get all the crevices. Don't worry about over salting and over peppering this thing. I think it'd go quicker. I think after this I'm going to take a drill to that and just drill out the holes a little bit bigger. We'll get the back side in just a second. Now I'm patting it down, forcing the meat into the moisture. Come back over here. Boom, boom, done. Flip it around here, get this edge. So I'm thinking I'm going to contact my sister and ask her for my mom's recipe for potato salad. So I think I'm going to make potato salad with this, like it's a New York style deli potato salad, but not. It's not the potato salad that they sell in delis nowadays that comes directly from a freaking box, by the way. So remember this flat, I'll turn this around, this flattened point with the flattened point meat. I'm going to pull up that flat and make sure I season on top of the point as well. It might not look like I pulled a lot of fat off the point, but you got to realize the point is a very highly marbleized. I think I need to start drinking or something. I can't speak. So again, I'm just making sure I get every little spot, patting it down. You don't rub. You don't rub. That's your television cook show. It's telling you how to cook. Who you rub. You don't rub your meat. I think we're done. Patting it down. Again, you're not rubbing your meat. You're just patting it down. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting this in the fridge for a minimum of 1 hour. I'm going to strive for 2 or 3. I would say about 20 minutes, half an hour before I pull this out of the fridge, I'm going to preheat that pellet grill. I'm going to preheat it to about 225. I'm going to wait till the smoke clears. That means it's a very clean burning fire, so I'm going to look at that chimney after about a half an hour of it warming up, making sure the smoke is gone clear. Then we're going to throw this in. Catch you later. Okay, the pellet smoker here has been on for about 25 minutes. Currently sitting at an even 200. The beef brisket, I had it sitting in the fridge for 4 hours, and we're going to put it on the grill now. So right here on mine is the hottest spot. So I'm going to place the thickest part of the meat there, coolest part of the meat here. Do is try to shape the meat a little bit, scrunch it a little bit together, not too much, not a whole lot of force, and just because that's the shape it's pretty much going to cook at now. Put that out a little bit, and she's good to go. I'm going to sit and have myself a cocktail or something. I'll come out and check it in about 5 hours. And I'm going to be looking for the temperature of about 165, 175 before I wrap it. But more importantly than the temperature, I want to feel the fat. I want it to give. You see, I don't know if you could see, but the fat is coming back. When I push it, the fat springs back. What I'm looking for is when I push it, the fat does not come back. That is when I definitely want to wrap it in my butcher paper. Yeah, I forgot to mention, but I'm using Applewood in this smoker today. This is the Pit Boss brand, but it really doesn't matter what brand you buy. If you have a Traeger, you can use Pit Boss. If you have the Pit Boss, you can use Traeger pellets. It really doesn't matter. Some of the more popular woods to use are oak. So a lot of oak wood is used in Texas barbecue. I didn't have any oak. There's pecan, there's hickory. Pecan and hickory are good choices also. Applewood lends itself to a very, very mild taste. Normally I wouldn't have used Applewood, but it's what I got. So, got to use what you got, right? So I'm going to fill the hopper because it's going to be an overnight thing. So let's get to it. Okay, she's full. So, okay, we're on we're just going on hour 2. So I'm not going to even open up this I'm not going to even open up this yet to see what she looks like. The thing about brisket is you just don't want to keep opening it up. You don't want a bunch of temperature fluctuations and whatnot. So I'm just going to let it be. What I think I'm going to do about hour 4 or hour 5, I'm going to spray it down. I'm going to spray it down with some mixture of apple juice and apple cider vinegar, 50-50 blend. Spray the meat down just to keep the surface moist. And I might do that, I don't know, every 45 minutes, hour after that, until I get to the wrap stage. Wrap stage I'm looking for, again, 165, right around 165, 175, but more so to where I push the meat and it doesn't bounce back. Then I'm going to wrap it in butcher paper really tightly, throw it back in the smoker, and That's where it's going to finish off its smoke. That's where it's going to finish off its cooking, I should say. Until then. Okay, so it's time to start wrapping. It's 4 in the morning. Actually, it's 4:15 in the morning. I got 2 pieces of good quality butcher paper, 2 of them. They're overlapped. And all we're going to do is just wrap it up. So it's basically wrap one side up. I should say wrap the end up and then wrap both sides inward, and then you're just gonna pretty much it. You just keep rolling upwards and make sure it's tight. Very end, all you're going to do is fold it upwards and let it rest on itself. Now what we're going to do is put this back in the pellet smoker, and we are going to leave it in until a temperature probe can go in and out of the meat with no resistance. So I'll put it in, I'll wait about another hour and a half, and then I'll put a probe in. I'm obviously going to also look at the temperature. I want it to be right around 203, 205, right in there. And once it reaches that temperature, I then would like to see no resistance when putting a probe into the meat. Okay, the meat's ready to come off. I actually changed the position a little bit to distribute the heat a little bit differently. But as you can see, the paper's kind of soaked. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it on a towel, just an older towel. I'm going to wrap it up, and then I'm going to throw it in a cooler bag. I don't have a cooler, so I'm just going to use the next best thing. But if you have a cooler, you wrap it up, or you can just put it directly in your cooler like this and let it sit for a minimum of 1 hour. 3 hours is really nice. I'm going to let mine sit for about 3 hours. But the only reason I'm wrapping it in the towel is because my cooler bag doesn't have great insulation. So let's get this thing wrapped up. So this is the cooler bag I was talking about. Like I said, if I had a cooler, I'd be using the cooler. But it's the next best thing. So I'm going to wrap this just like I did in the butcher paper. Wrap it. Actually, I'm going to just and that's it. It's going in the bag, and it's going to sit. I'm actually going to bring the bag indoors. That way, just in case there's some wildcats or something around. But anyway, this is going to sit for I'd say about 3 hours. Okay, so after about 15 hours, 16 hours of smoking, this is what it's all about. It's time to unwrap it and see how we did. mercy. That is looking good. That is looking good. We got most of the juices went right back into the meat. I don't know if you could see that. Most of the juices are just right back into the meat, and that's why we let it rest. All right, let's get this out of here. Okay, now it's the time to see how we did. Got a nice bark on here. Nice. I don't know if you could see the color, but it's a very, very dark brown. I can feel the texture of the pepper and the salt. You see that? Oh God, that tastes good. Okay, again, so this was the point. This is the flat. Two different muscles. Two different muscles. Okay, so I'm going to actually cut that off. Nice sharp knife. Okay. So we're going to take our first slice here. Take a look and see what kind of juices we got in there. It's nice. I don't see any large clumps of fat. We got nice juice in there. The fat is almost sticky. It's rendered really nicely. Just falling apart. Beef brisket. Just no effort at all. It's just falling apart. Now I'm going to try the point. Now the point, the grain runs on a flat this way. On a point, it runs the opposite direction. You can see the grains. So we're going to always cut across the grain. The camera's on the left side, so I'm forced to. And this is where you get your burnt ends from. You would cube them up. You would throw barbecue sauce on the cubes, and you would put it back in the smoker. But there you go. Nice juicy. You can see the sheen on the skin, or the bark I should say. Really beautiful piece of meat. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I'm going to try to do more of these. Brisket is for me, brisket is the king of barbecue, but it also is the most difficult. It's an overnight thing. You got to babysit it, and the more you do, the more brisket you smoke, the better it comes out each time. You learn from your mistakes. I can already see a couple of improvements to make next time. Take care and enjoy your dinner.